I'm a babbling fool as it is. But all right, Dax. Well, now it's time for you to give us your three favorite fights, the breakdowns, and your predictions. Who are you going to start with this week?
All right, of course, this week we're going to start with what I think might be the most exciting fight, and that's going to be Nicholas Walters against Miguel Maragia. And, of course, after that, I'm going to follow that with the card over in on the Golden Boy card. That's going to be the Ivan Najira taking on Felix Verjado. And then we're going to finish that up with Jose Pedraza and Andre Klimov, and that's going to be the IBF World Super Featherweight title fight on the Wild undercard. My mistake, the Verjado fight is in Madison Square Garden.
Okay. So which one you can do first?
We're going to start out with the Walters fight.
Okay, shoot.
All right, Nicholas Walters, a lot of excitement going on about him. He's really made it. He's just burst onto the scene out of nowhere as of late. His last couple of fights when he beat Nonito Donaire and when he beat Victor Archinian, kind of put him on the map. Nicholas Walters, he has a lot of pros. He stops guys, but he's not really a one-punch KO artist. But, the thing about him is that Walters, he creates a lot of excitement, and he puts a lot of pressure on his opponents. He has better head movement than you would think, and he has better than average footwork. His wins over Donaire and Darchinian dazzled mainstream fans, but I think, that could be a sign, as Larry said, that this is a guy who's going to dominate for a long while. But like any fighter, he has some flaws, and he has some serious ones that, his opponent this night may be able to expose. Walters, I think he's in love with his power a little bit too much, Bill. I think he truly believes that because he has so much power, he can't offer anything back. As I stated before, he has great head movement, and his hand speed, is better than average. Matter of fact, it's world-class hand speed. But, Walters has this bad habit of lunging in with his punches, and he keeps his hands down when he lunges in. And when he comes up against a guy who's a little bit more seasoned and a guy that, has a little bit more of counter-punching ability, let's say like a Juan Manuel Marquez type, that's going to be a problem for Nicholas Walters. Walters has been knocked down before. People don't realize that because it was early in his career, but it was against Carlos Manuel Reyes. He has improved greatly since then. Don't be mistaken. But that might be something there where you have to kind of question Walter's chin. Walter's, another thing I've noticed, he can be bullied. A small Darchinian, way past his best, no question, and not to take anything away from the victory because it was, a sensational win, but he was able to make Nicholas Walters go straight back. And when he's pressured, he's not a good counterpuncher at all. He likes to be on the attack. He likes to be first. But, the way he reacts when he's going backwards or on the inside when he's being roughed up, Walter doesn't seem like he's been schooled on how to deal with the inside fighting game. If you watch the Donaire fight again, you see him, he drops his hands often when he's coming in close to let go of those uppercuts. Again, like I said, a good counterpuncher on the inside who knows how to fight on the inside. He pretty much, had his way with Nicholas Walters if Walters continues this habit. Now, across from him is a little-known guy, Miguel Maraja. I say little-known to the casual fan because this guy's name has been talked about for a while. He's just had little exposure in the United States. No one with this type of power goes unnoticed. Maraja is a very composed guy with his hands held high, with a tight defense, and he works off his jab. He's good at adjusting. If one thing is not working, he will look for something that is. So he's not so concentrated on those power punches, even though he has over a 90% knockout ratio. He throws in combinations. Like I stated about Kell Brook a few weeks ago, his combinations are strong, but not every punch is meant to be hurting you. The punches that he throws, when I say strong, are all just to keep a guy still while he's looking to make any adjustments needed. And he won't allow himself to be pushed backwards. His tight defense, he goes into a shell, and he'll stand his ground, and he keeps his eyes on his opponent. He never looks away. Even when he's getting punched, and he's getting punched hard, he focuses, he zooms right in, so this way he is never caught off guard. He lets loose this hand to the body, almost like a small triple G. And when he lets loose his hook, he goes all the way around the elbow to the liver, and that hurts a lot of guys. And then he comes back with this uppercut to the head, and it snaps guys back. And once he does that, guys are really out of their senses, and they're ready to fall. The only cons on him is his lack of upper-tier, world-class experience. Also the fact that he has never been down with a big puncher. We're not really sure if he can take a big punch. Marija, he likes to find a suitable place for himself in this sport, but it seems like he's not really doing it well with the people that are handling him. If I was going to say anything that would make me think that this fight would be more competitive than it is on paper, up until a few fights ago, we didn't know who Nicholas Walters was either. My official prediction on this one is going to be Nicholas Walters due to the top level of competition and not knowing what the chin is like on his opponent.
You know, I'm with you with Nicholas Walters. Miguel Mariaga, I think, is one of these guys that they're bringing in with the good-looking record, the knockouts and everything else. But just like you said a few seconds ago, it's against unknown people, and not that. I mean, let's be fair. Nicholas Walters isn't, exactly a household name yet, and his resume isn't loaded and chock full of top-notch fighters either. But I think I'm with you 100%. Walters will get the best of Mariaga on Saturday. What's the next one you got?
The next one is going to be Felix Verdejo against Ivan Najera for the WBO Latino lightweight title. The pros about Felix Verdejo, he has a great amateur career. Felix, who made it to the 2012 Olympic Games, he was eliminated by Vasyl Lomachenko, but the amateur pedigree is important for young fighters, so this way they come in with the fundamentals. He has a long reach and a good jab. He has a nice snapping hook to the body that, because of his long reach, allows him to land that while being a little bit lazy with his defense. That he's so far back, his opponents aren't able to really counter. He has decent power, but he doesn't have the type of power that his people and his handlers would like us to believe. He does know how to cut off the ring well, and he's managed to gain important experience from ring veterans like Oscar Bravo and Marco Antonio Lopez. Felix is well-traveled, and that's something very important. You hear people talk about that in the sport all the time. Well-traveled means that, a fighter, especially one that only has 17 fights, isn't going to get overwhelmed by the large crowd. Not to mention the fact that, he's in a town where is very pro-Puerto Rican. Miguel Cotto, that's why he fights at the Garden so much, because he draws the big crowd. So he's going to have a lot of fan support behind him. And that's critical always, especially when you're a young fighter. A big fan support behind you will help you adjust. And he's been in Madison Square Garden several times, but he's also been in Radio City Music Hall. He was on the undercard of Nonito Donaire and Rigondeaux. The cons about Felix is he seems to have yet find his identity in the ring. He doesn't know if he's a puncher or a boxer. He's a good boxer, but he moves around way too much at times. Against Lopez, I was wondering if he drank too much coffee in the dressing room before he came out. As a 22-year-old, yes, he's still getting accustomed to the pro career. It's a lot different than the amateur fights, but he has a lot of stress on him, considering there are a couple big names right now, as you and Larry were just talking about. Of course, Miguel Cotto's already turned himself into a legend, and Thomas Delorme, despite his last loss, Delorme, there's a lot of hopes for him. And after Juan Ma, kind of went into decline, he went into decline fast, the Puerto Rican fans are looking for a star to take his place, and there's always big money when it comes to the Puerto Rico versus Mexico boxing rivalries. And that's something that a young fighter has to have on his mind, especially in a sport right now that is so focused on the revenue that you can make. As far as his opponent across the ring, Ivan Najera, he's fast, he's great at applying pressure, he comes in throwing combinations, and the combination he throws in are accurate. He has better than average speed. He gives his opponents a lot to think about, and he doesn't give them much time to think about how they're going to counter. He fights well off the ropes. He doesn't let his opponents give him punishment without taking something in return, meaning he doesn't just stand there waiting for his opponent to tee off on him before he decides he's going to let himself go. When he comes in, his guard is high, and he doesn't drop one of the hands when he's punching with the other. That's a bad habit you see a lot of young fighters do. So he's never open for a counter by being lazy. The cons in Najera is he only had 42 amateur bouts. Sometimes he abandons the basics to be a valiant puncher. Sometimes he sets a pace for himself a little bit too fast, and he becomes a little winded in the early rounds. You'll see in the corner he's breathing hard, and he'll even have to take a round off in the ring by just moving around and just pouring his jab out there until he regains his composure. The only plus in that department, as I stated, is Felix seems unsure of how he's going to attack. The bad part is Felix can take advantage of this because he has that amateur experience. And matter of fact, he's been in with a couple more guys as a pro. The 140-pound division is red hot right now. Both these guys need a big win because they're looking for a number 2 spot to fill, especially after what happened today with Danny Garcia. Terrence Crawford, no question, is the top man in that division, but whoever gets a great win right here is going to be the guy that people are looking for to go into that number 2 spot sooner than later, and there's a lot of big money on the line. My official pick here is going to be Verdejo, but this fight, you look for both guys to let it all out because this is something that's going to propel them to superstardom within the next few fights after this.
Yeah, I'm with you with Verdejo too, but I just want to double check. Now, is that a junior welterweight fight or is that a lightweight fight? I have it listed as a 135-pound fight.
Well, from all the resources I have is that they were saying that it was 140, but then from the promoters, I got that it's going to be for the Latino lightweight title card. So there's a little bit of conflicting stories out there. So I'm a little bit confused on that as well.
Okay, well, I was just asking, but yeah, you never can believe if there's a title on the line and it's for a junior welterweight title, then you would have to assume it's 140. But your last one is Jose Pedraza against Andrei Kilimov, right?
Yes. Jose Pedraza versus Andrei Klimov for the vacant IBF World Super Featherweight title, and that's going to be on the undercard of Deontay Wilder. This is a division with a ton of superstars, and one good televised win, like the fighters we just talked about, can help these guys join that group. Jose Pedraza, he has a notable win over Michael Farinas in the Eliminator. Klimov has more experience, and he's been in with better guys at a higher weight division. Speaking of lightweights, his only loss is to Terrence Crawford, when Terrence Crawford was a lightweight. The pros about Klimov, he has been, as we stated, not only better, but bigger, stronger fighters. With your only loss coming to Terrence Crawford, that's nothing, for anybody to shake their head about. Matter of fact, he made Terrence Crawford look so bad in that fight, a lot of people stopped thinking of Crawford as the future of the sport. Of course, Crawford right after that went to win the world title, and he's dominated since, even went to a new weight class. Klimov, who's used to fighting pressure fighters and valiant fighters, he's willing to go to war. His fight with John Molina Jr. was a tough fight that set up his Crawford bout. Klimov also has a very solid chin. On the inside, he can be aggressive, which is rare for a guy that's not a power puncher. He threw Crawford off with it, and that's a lot of reasons why Crawford looked so bad, because inside Klimov roughed him up a lot, and that's not Terrence Crawford's style. He's a pure boxer. Now, when you sit there and you break a guy like Klimov down, and most people see him and they see nothing but an Eastern European fighter, but he's more than that. He's very slick in there. He has a lot of little tricks. He's not a hard-punching guy, but he has enough power to make his opponents respect him and make guys hesitate on coming in and letting go on him. Pedraza, who's also strong on the inside, it has a tendency to get pushed around. Klimov won't back up. Matter of fact, he likes to bull guys backwards. Pedraza has never dealt with somebody like that. Klimov knows how to make guys fight uncharacteristically, meaning he'll do little things to frustrate guys or have them overthink themselves. When he does that, that's when he gets his best work done. The cons about Klimov is sometimes he takes shots he should have avoided. Then again, a lot of those Russian fighters do. None of them are shy of taking the shot. But it looks bad for the judges when it comes to the scorecards. Klimov will also follow fighters instead of cutting the ring off. He wastes time instead of being active when he has an opponent moving backwards because he's looking for the right way to engage. On the other side, when he needs a break, he can look like he is being overly cautious instead of looking like a guy who is boxing smart, because he does look for that right combination to land. When Klimov, also his biggest problem is that when he lets guys off the hook, just as he's stunning guys, and I've seen it in several fights, he lets them off the hook for some reason. But then he's stepping back, and he's looking to reestablish himself so he can be in position to land that one finishing shot. By that time, his opponent has recovered, and they already reset themselves. And that's why Klimov doesn't have as many stoppage wins as he should have. Pedraza, as his pros, He's a quality amateur fighter on the world level. His Olympic qualifiers, World Cups, Pan Am Games were all great for building a young fighter into a well-rounded professional one. Pedraza has already had a small taste of success when he won an IBO super featherweight title against Alberto Garza last year. Inside, he's strong, but he kind of lets himself get pushed around. His footwork is solid. He has a solid chin. He has some tight defense. He also shows good head movements. He brings his hands up after a punch, protects counters from coming in. Every fight, he seems to show he's doing a little bit better in the gym. But like I stated about Brado before, Pedraza sometimes moves around a little too much and doesn't seem totally set on what type of fighter he wants to be. He doesn't know if he wants to be a boxer. He doesn't want to know if he wants to be a puncher. And if you're fighting guys your own weight, that's going to be okay, and that's going to let you get through until you reach that new level. But Klimov has been in with bigger guys. His timing is good. He likes to offset guys, and when he does offset guys, that's when he does his best work. He's also hard to counter, but Klimov, I actually see him making himself doubt what he is going to do in there because of this lack of everything we spoke about. You can also see a flash knockdown because his feet aren't always set when he punches. If he's not hurt and he doesn't go down, and this is a close fight, my final prediction is going to be Klimov due to the fact he is going to keep Pedraza thinking all night unless Pedraza can really do something sensational early, but I highly doubt it.
So you're picking Klimov in this fight?
Officially, I'm going to pick him because he's been in with the better, and because Pedraza might be better overall, but he hasn't found his niche yet, as I explained. He doesn't know what he wants to do in there, and you know how guys will sometimes they'll switch from conventional to a southpaw. He doesn't do that, but he doesn't know if he's a boxer, a puncher. There's a few times when I've watched him in his fights, he does this almost like a peekaboo type style. But you know, that peekaboo style was meant for smaller fighters to get in on a bigger fighter and offset them because those bigger fighters have no body to go to. Now, Pedraza, you can't do that because him and Klimov are the same height, and Klimov is just going to work that body up. And Pedraza, he's not going to know what he's going to do in there, and that's going to be the advantage with Klimov, and that's why I'm picking him.
Interesting. I normally agree with you, but I'm going with the sniper. I'm going to take Jose Pedraza in that fight. I just think that he's going to be a little more careful because, like you said, Andrei Klimov's been in there with the tougher opposition, and I think that although Pedraza seems to take his opponents lightly, I don't think he's going to take Klimov lightly. So I'm going to go against you on that one. But great job as usual breaking down all the fights, Dax. I appreciate it. Good job as usual, man.
You know, somebody asked me the other day, you know, they said it's unfair when you break down fighters, and I asked them why is that. They said, well, it seems like when you make these predictions and you talk about, you know, these fighters' bad parts, are you basing this off a loss? And you know, I responded, I said, you know, when you base a fighter and you judge them off a loss, that is unfair because honestly, if they lost, they look bad. The best way to judge a fighter and exactly figure out for yourself how good they are, how good they're not, is you look at their best wins, and that's when you look for what needs improvement, or that's where you look and see, you know, what they did sensationally, and, you know, then, you know, you kind of get yourself a little bit of feel as you watch more fights after that, if they've done any improvement or any changes. Fighters that don't make any changes after a win are the worst kind of fighters because they get their heads a little full of themselves. The best kind of fighter is the one that goes in there and puts on a sensational performance, and the next time you see them, they're twice as good than you've seen them the last time because they are always looking to better themselves, no matter what.
Great point, and that also goes hand in hand with what we say all the time. You know, and when you're feeding a quality fighter garbage opposition, they have nothing to go and work on because they look so great all the time. So that's a great point from both angles. But Dax, great job, and we look forward to you next week, my man.
All right, and since Larry's sending you something to eat tomorrow, there's no reason for me to do it.
No, whoa, hold on there. Larry didn't guarantee it, you know, and I'm definitely counting on a Carmen Basilio sausage and pepper from somebody. You know, if I cry it to everybody, maybe I'll get at least one, you know.
Well, didn't Larry say he's bringing the dogs with him or something like that? So in case these guys happen, approach him on the highway or something.
No.
I'm not going to have dogs. It's just going to be me.
I don't know. Alex yesterday was trying to talk me into. He said, "I'll just drive up and turn around and drive back." I'm like, dude, that's 6 hours of driving, But anyway, have a good time and keep me posted on what's going on, my man.
All right, and I wish there was more fights for everybody to enjoy this week, but, everybody, as I say, enjoy the fights, and if you can stop by the Hall of Fame, do so, because there's going to be a lot of good stuff going on there. Hey, one last thing, you remember the 80s, and you remember the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, I heard. What did he die of?
I'm not really sure if he did, but, that was just odd, As a matter of fact, I'm coming in, my wife goes, Dusty Rhodes died. I'm like, Dusty Rhodes? I remember as a kid that, when you think about these things that are going on right now in boxing, when wrestling was really big, you had those two rival factions, and it's kind of like Top Rank and Golden Boy. You had the WCW and you had WWE, or back then it was WWF and NWA. And Dusty Rhodes was like the main guy, and everybody loved the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes.
Yep. And I saw that today. I was like, damn, he was 69, which, I mean, isn't old. It's not young, but it's not old. But it didn't list any cause. So, anyway, yeah, I should have said something at the beginning of the show, but Dax is right. Our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the family and friends of former wrestling great Dusty Rhodes. So, anyway, Dax, enjoy the fights this weekend. Enjoy Canastota, and we'll look forward to you next week, my man.
All right.
Hey, and most of all, enjoy that Tom Molyneux book, man.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we'll get back to you on that soon. That's going great, by the way.
Good. All right, my man. I'll talk to you soon. That's Daxx Khan. Check out his column up on BillyCBoxing.com. Hey, listen.